a lot of people, and this is what drives me crazy as a marketing professional, when people's revenue starts to dip, or when people's, they don't have as much money as coming as they want, the first thing they usually do is cut the non-value added. And marketing is non-value added. It's hard to measure if it's working or not. One only way you can check and see if it's working is the amount of sales that come in, but that could take a while. It could take a quick amount of time. So it's hard to track, right? But a lot of people, they'll kill off their marketing first thing. And that's the time you don't want to do it, because if you don't have sales coming in, that means people aren't getting your message. So there's some things that marketing does, or brands do for us. Creates a belonging, it fosters loyalty, maximizes investments, that's huge, streamlines effort. So your brand really gets your voice out there to people. So here's another thing that people are confused with. See where it says logo up there? When we start talking about marketing, when we start talking about brand, people usually go straight to logo. Oh, that's all about your logo. I mean, logos are really, a good logo is identifiable. Coca-Cola's label, very unique colors, very unique design. Kellogg's, same thing. All of the really hot brands have a really unique label. However, it's so much more than that. And it takes a while to build that kind of thing. So you got your core brand, where you've done all the meat and potatoes and the work on it to figure out who you are. You know exactly who you are. Then it goes into brand messaging. Oh, how am I going to talk to people? Am I going to talk to people online? Am I going to talk to people in person? Am I going to do print ads? Am I going to do one-on-one, go out and meet and greet people? Am I going to do partnerships with different people? Am I going to do collabs with different people? There's lots of different ways that you can get that messaging out there. Then brand application. That's just taking and associating yourself, your brand, with people that are sort of like your friends. When you meet up with friends, the reason you're with your friends is because hopefully they highlight your brand. They're people that have common interests and common things that, you get along. And so you associate yourself with that. Same goes with the brand application. You can apply your brand and you can associate yourself with certain things. It might be an ideal, it might be a value, it might be, we're low price, it might be high quality. And then finally, you have your identity. Your identity is all the things that are out there, like your logo, your color schemes, the imagery you use, the messages, the common messages you send. It might be your tagline. It might be a whole bunch of other things. There's a lot of things that can be involved in branding. It could be uniforms. It could be the logo on the cash slip. A lot of different things. So, why did it matter? Marketing is key to economic development. Like I said before, you can't get sales if people don't know where you are and how to reach you and how to buy your goods and services. It tends to build community pride and identity. So, we've all been to Frank's, or we've all been downtown, or we've all been... And I guarantee you see, like, people wearing shirts. Sometimes it's a brand of the school. Sometimes it's, I don't know, does DEA have shirts or no? So here's the thing, people want to be associated with brands. So much to the point where, and I don't see anybody in this audience wearing one, but so much to the point that we will sometimes pay to be associated with a brand, right? Think about Nike wear. I am not a big brand type of person, even though I'm marketing. But Nike wear, people want to be part of that group. People want to be associated with specific brands. It says something about them, right? So, why is it good for us? Builds community pride and identity. Huge. Attracts visitors, residents, and businesses. So, as you're on, let's say, as John's on TV talking to Bart, and people see a brand, or he's giving the message about Grass Lake, and he talks about certain things, he's enhancing the value of our brand. He's communicating about our brand or reinforcing it. That's important to do because it does attract visitors. It does get new residents coming here. As residents pass through this town, or potential residents, on their way from who knows where, because they work in Ann Arbor, and they come through and they stop at Cattleman's to get their coffee, we want them to go, gosh, you know, it'd be sort of cool to move here because this is a nice little town. And the way they get that message is seeing the activities that might be posted on banners on the road, or it might be our way signs, or it might be curb appeal of our downtown. That's what sends those messages to get people to come move into our town, along with less taxes and all that fun stuff. And the stories we tell on those things like Bart Harley and the different people we, when we interview or we talk to people and do public relations. Attract visitors and residents and businesses, the things the DEA, or the DDA is doing, that helps. Anytime we highlight that a bond's gonna happen and these are all the cool things that are gonna happen, all of that stuff helps attract residents and visitors, okay? The different things we do downtown, the Oktoberfest, attracts visitors, potential people that might start a business there. We want them to come into our town and picture themselves as either residents or businesses or some part of the town. But there's got to be evidence, and that's what marketing and branding does for us. Okay, we already said mostly attracting investment visitors. Gross. So that's the thing. When we go and we want to strengthen our credibility with our partners, here's what you're going to probably hear from me quite a bit tonight. And when she goes into the thing about Grass Lake and all the information we have on Grass Lake and what the customer profile looks like in Grass Lake or the resident profile looks like in Grass Lake and the way things are, we want you to start thinking not only about your individual areas, like whether it be the township, whether it be, Prince or down, any of your businesses, the nonprofits, the schools. We want you to think about partnerships and how you can utilize other people, not only supporting them, but they can support you, and we can squeeze the most money out of our marketing efforts. Because there's nothing better than free marketing from people, okay? Especially when you have partners. So remember that. As a small business or as a nonprofit, that's especially important, right? Or township or the village. Okay, guiding decision making. That's important because you don't want people going off willy-nilly and saying things that sort of don't support your brand. The more we have a common brand, the more we communicate it, the better we are with people, and it's saying, hey, this is what we say about Grass Lake. This is, when we talk about this is our tagline. When we're doing public relations, let's support this. And again, that goes back to your partnerships. If you're partnering with a school, you can help support another entity by mentioning them during your conversations with other people. So that decision making and the credibility, remember, you want to strengthen your credibility, and you can do that through association. Decision making, that just gives us framework, and then same with consistency. The consistency gives you a framework within what to work with. Having consistent colors, having consistent logos, having a consistent message is all really important to establishing that brand and having it perpetuate throughout our community. Okay, there are 4 phases of a marketing plan. And these are super important, especially, they're all important, but number 1 is super important, okay? And I'm going to tab back into my school. You know, when I'm first with my students in class, when I had them in there, I said, so tell me, what do you think we should carry in the school store? And they come up with all these wonderful ideas. And I'd say, okay, some of those may be good ideas, some of them might not be great ideas. But you're basing all of that on your own views and your own situation. We don't do that in marketing. We base it on research. We want to research and find out what it is our customers want and how we can brand and create a marketing plan that will help grow our community to where it needs to be. So, one example of this is, think of 10-year plan, right? Township's done a lot of work on that, haven't you? Well, part of it.
Part of it.
Yeah. So we have this 10-year plan, and it has some pretty big things that we want to do. If our marketing plan isn't supportive of that, and we don't communicate those things while marketing Grass Lake, it's going to be hard to get there. So research is especially hard, or it's the number 1 thing, okay? So, first thing you gotta do is identify a champion. Champion can be anyone. It really can. That person is the facilitator that says, okay, we're gonna document this, I'm gonna walk you through the process, and hey ho, here we go, right? It's gonna be the cheerleader that keeps the project going when you're doing marketing. It's gonna be the person that has to make some of the hard decisions while relying on, good resources and knowledgeable resources. You're going to engage partners. In this situation in Grass Lake, we're small enough that we can engage lots of partners. Again, the advantage of engaging partners is it's easier to get the research because we all sort of sit in our own silos and get our own research going, and then we share it with nobody. So to make our own decisions, when I know for a fact everybody has research about probably their customers. Do you guys have research on your customers yet? Like, have you been collecting like demographic data?
Yeah.
What's your zip code?
To be honest, it just started about a month ago.
Yeah.
Pretty hard to hire somebody to do that.
That's good stuff, because then now we know who's driving through, or if they're resident, or if, they could be seasonal. I mean, that's important to know, and there's not a lot of ways that, John, can you get the information of who drives through our town? Probably.
Not really.
No. So you're going to rely on retailers to get that information, right? So that makes sense. And village and probably township, are you going to know who's seasonal here and who actually lives here year-round? You probably could give me a good number, I'm guessing.
With that.
So that information, sharing it amongst everyone is important. Then you start to be able to make good decisions on marketing. Audit assets, physical, anecdotal, and resources. There's all kinds of assets, or you got to figure out what you got. Do you have a bunch of trucks with a logo on it? Do you have a website? Do you have a social media accounts? If you're doing social media accounts, are you actively updating them? Are you linked correctly with other people? Do you have partners that are involved in that? Is everything being maintained? Do you have newsletters? What do you have at your disposal? Okay? Identity audit, that's all about, what are people saying about you and how are you telling people about yourself? What's the number one? I hate to say it's number one, but gut feeling. What's one of the number one ways we know about Grass Lake? Is communication wise.
Facebook forum.
There we go, Facebook forum. That is what right now I believe dictates our brand. Unfortunately. It is just ridiculous. And, we want to say, oh, those are just the outliers. Those are the people who like to rabble-rouse, but they're the communicators. And right now, they're dominating other things. Now, I do see things out there for, some of the small businesses, but right now, I hate to say it, but social media and electronic media, that's the way people are communicating most of. The days of, putting a flyer out there or sending out something into the mail, those are the anomaly right now. So when I get something in the mail, I'm like, oh, this is different, but not enough to keep me from throwing it in the trash, So, SWOT analysis. Does everyone know what SWOT analysis is? What is your strengths? What are the weaknesses? What are your opportunities? And what are your threats? So example of strengths. A strength would be, gosh, we're a close-knit community. We have a growing population. Our schools are growing. Recreational people do use our lakes now, and we have lots of lakes around here. So those are some strengths, right? Weaknesses, I'm sure there are weaknesses that we have, right? Opportunities, what can we capitalize on? What is sitting there just waiting for us to go, gosh, you know what? I bet you people will bite at that if people just knew about it. And then threats, that's the stuff that's gonna sneak up behind us and really hit us in our detriment, like the sewers and the water, that kind of stuff. The lipstick on the pig stuff. So we want to make sure those are clearly identified also, and we know about those. We don't want to highlight them, but we know about them. Next is development. So you're developing goals, objectives, strategies, and tactics. This usually looks like a huge Excel sheet that tells you the dates, that tells you who's doing it, that tells you who's connected to it and who might be affected by it, and usually a dollar amount. Sabrina has something similar like that for the village. It's a project list, and it has similar things and it's laid out in usually a calendar order. First this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to happen. So you're going to do that. Creating your core messages. What is Grass Lake's reason for continuing as a village? What is Grass Lake's reason for continuing as a town? Why are we here? Why did we settle here? And what's great about it? Let's see. So you can create those messages. leverage visual assets. That is where you're going to have to do some thinking. And a lot of it's going to be psychological. Okay? So your visual assets, the colors, the signage, the photos, they all have a place in telling that story. Okay? And they prompt things within people's minds. Give you an example. Red, the color red. Energy, high energy. Yellow makes you feel sort of, oh, I'm safe and gosh, I'm sort of hungry. Black's informational. So there's a reason why red, yellow, black, white, and sometimes blue is used in most fast food logos. Fast, high energy. Oh, by the way, you're probably hungry. Staple stuff, pull in here and you can count on us. So you look at Wendy's, you look at McDonald's, you look at Burger King, they're all similar colors. We have to think about something else, and all of that has to be associated to our story. What imagery do we want to associate that will tell the story in a snapshot? Let's see, market priority sites. Let's see. So, how do we want to put our message out there? How do we want to reach our people? Again, that's about knowing about your customers. I mean, how are we going to reach those people? And it could be through the mail, but I doubt it. Some of them you will. Some of them, the best thing is when you cover that area, you include all of them, even word of mouth. You think about that word of mouth. So what would be a word of mouth type of marketing effort, do you think?
Church announcement.
Church announcement, the pastor stands up there and says, hey, by the way, you all, I forgot to add religion in there, sorry. The churches are also part of our group too. Anything that makes us community. They can stand up and say, hey, by the way, Grass Lake High School is doing blah, blah, blah. Or, hey, by the way, the Historical Society is going to do this. Or maybe you do a historical society that supports the various churches or where the church locations were. Like straight across the street from Federated Church, there used to be a church there. Probably where Remington's used to live. Anyways, there's history, so you can support one another. And that kind of word of mouth is important. Same with getting on Bart Harley or interviewing K105.3 or any of that stuff. That's all word of mouth stuff. Some people say it's PR, but officially it's more word of mouth. I mean, PR is sort of formal when you send something formal that is the village mantra and it's been blessed by everybody because there's usually some legal issues with it. Then you format the plan. Again, the formatting is like through an Excel spreadsheet. You can use lots of tools. Excel spreadsheet. I've seen people use for simpler marketing campaigns. You use Post-it notes. I don't recommend that. There's other tools that you can use online too. If you search project management software, you can find tons of them. Let's see, branded core messages. Here's some examples. Grass Lake, here'd be an example of our core message. So like what we're all about. Grass Lake, honoring our history, building our future. Village of tradition, progress, and promise. Rooted in heritage, thriving with opportunity. Things that say a message but are sort of memorable. Okay, you want people to be able to memorize them or to recall them, at least the core of it. Okay, implementation. It says assign roles and timelines. Actually, that's sort of done in combination. When you put it all together, it's, you know, it has a key person, and then what human resources are you going to use? Who's going to be involved? Who's going to be assigned to deliverables? How long is it going to take? Things like that. Use multiple marketing tools. I already talked about that. Collaborate with partners. Always. There's all kinds of partners. Sometimes what I do, and I do this often, is I don't believe in creating a better mousetrap. I find a damn good one and then use it and change it to my own need. So you might go out there and say, ooh, this community did a really nice job of this, and this, and these are the tools to use. They're similar to our size. Well, we should look into that. In your individual businesses, same thing could go, okay? Go out, find somebody who's doing it right. I would not do direct competition with this, but, you know, don't find a direct competitor to do the same thing as them. It's all about differentiating yourself from the other person. So if you find a competitor and like what they're doing, yeah, that's great, but try to find somebody that you're not competing with. Because if they're already doing it, you'll always be the person that's compared to them. It's usually not a good thing. Because you want to be an innovator. Stretch budget through partnership, media, and digital marketing. I already talked about that. Sometimes you can utilize each other. I mean, just because I post something and create this cool ad doesn't mean I could take that ad and give it to somebody else and say, hey, you could use the similar formatting for your stuff. Or if somebody's doing a cool newsletter, let's say for the Historical Society, and somebody else found out that they needed to communicate more with the veterans, were going to communicate more with the community, they might share formatting. It's all, I mean, why recreate the mousetrap? Tracking. So, I said marketing is hard to figure out if it's directly related to the profit. However, there is tracking you can do, okay, to see if your individual efforts are successful. So evaluate your success through surveys, event attendance, online analytics, media coverage. How many clicks, how many people are forwarding your stuff, how many people show up based on, and this is a good one for all of our retailers or restaurants out there. How many people brought in printed out or have a QR code on their phone and say, hey, I want to take advantage of this, deal. Says I get a free drink or something, or a free cookie or something like that. Then all of a sudden, hey, we know that's working because somebody got it. And then you collect their demographic information along with that. Does everyone know, and I don't know if you go into this a little bit later, but I don't know. So, here's the things that we measure in customers. Demographic, right? Are they male? Are they female? What's their age? What's their socioeconomic income? That kind of stuff. Geographic. Where did they live? Where are they coming from? Are they rural or are they in the city? Where they live in the country? Usually it's a broader view. For us, we're more concerned with are they here? Are they seasonal? Or are they passing through? How are they passing through? What's our patterns of traffic? So demographic, geographic, psychographic is the last one. Psychographic is what are their interests, okay? We want to appeal and play on our customers' interests, okay? So, having those analytics is important. So we're looking at measuring those things. We're looking at measuring media coverage. Again, how many people clicked on the YouTube that was from Bart Harley that we linked to and watched it. Share the progress with stakeholders. Have a little Grass Lake marketing group of the area representatives and say, hey, how'd that work for you? Oh, it did, blah, blah, blah. And you guys can share on that. I mean, what works? And I would highly recommend, again, I said this earlier, but I'm saying it again, anytime you get data, share it with the other people. It's going to benefit you all. It's important to know that data and know who you're marketing to and eventually selling to. And a lot of you are like, well, I work for the township. What do you mean selling? Yeah, you got customers, they're residents. Same with the village. You got customers, they're residents. Here's one. How many people are attending our meetings? I can tell you that. Not a lot. How many people are, reading stuff? I don't even know how many clicks are on our website. Now we're getting visits, So it's all things we could do, though. And then we define strategic things we could do to increase that. Refresh and revisit the plan annually. Every year you should know, the big companies, the way they do it is they set up at the beginning of the year, hey, here we are at the beginning of the year, here's our budget for marketing. What are we going to do this year? Broad paint strokes. What are we going to do? What are our goals for the year? It's all based on goals. And then they plan that out. Usually it's 6 to 8 months before anything ever happens. So you're going to do this annually budget-wise. You're going to have your goals. Then what are you going to do to support those goals through your marketing effort? And then you set those plans up. And then, of course, each of those plans becomes its own hot mess. You got to plan it out and figure who's going to help you and what resources you need and all that. But you want a budget for that stuff. I would recommend definitely having a budget for marketing. Don't make it an afterthought. Make it part of your plan. I think we're on to you.
Nitty-gritty.
Yeah, the nitty-gritty. Thank you. Any questions on anything I went over? I tried to keep it short, but I'm not known for that.
Very informative, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That was great. Yeah, the nitty-gritty. So, Matthew spent a lot of time talking about the data and how important the data is, how important the data are. We've been, through the DDA, been doing a lot of strategic planning. So recently we adopted our economic strategic plan, and we're now moving into development plan season. And in part and parcel of those things, we decided to do a survey. And fortunately, we had around 280 participants in that survey. So it did give us a lot of data on the community, what people want. So what I'm going to be going over here is a combination of data from the strategic planning that's already been done, the data gathered for the development plan, and through that survey. Fun stuff. Matthew mentioned that we are going to be talking about different kinds of data. The first is geographic, so who we reach. This is our catchment area. Not only the local residents, we're also looking at commuters, event goers, who's coming in. I know just from Grass Lake Market, we had people coming from different parts of the state to come visit. Visitors, we've got the trails, a lot of recreational activities, sporting activities. These are all part of the geographic data. Who are we reaching? Who's coming here? And I know when you ask a lot of people about what Grass Lake's assets are, one of the top contenders is location. It's about location here. We're right in between Jackson and Ann Arbor, the big cities, but Chelsea, kind of our big sister city over there. We share a lot of people, sports, activities going back and forth. Things going on in Chelsea, you hear about in Grass Lake and vice versa. So we're all right here, super close to I-94, and it's a connection point between a lot of things. We're in an optimal location. He mentioned demographics. So this is, what are we? So we've got some important numbers that have come in. So between 2020 and 2023, we've had a population boost. It went up by almost 12%, which means our households have increased, which also means our demand on housing has increased since then and will continue to increase going forward. Because we have a lot of people with bachelors, with bachelors plus, we've got a lot of young families and professionals in Grass Lake, people that are looking for younger activities and also spending a lot of money because they tend to have a little bit more money to spend. So there's been an increase in that. Most of our housing was built before 1980, so while this brings, this warms our heart to have a lot of this to be historic, we're also having a need to build more housing and tap into the markets that are waiting in line to come to Grass Lake. Now the bottom one is a number that I've shared a lot in the past year since I've learned this. The median income is around $87,000. This is higher than Jackson and Chelsea, both. And it's also above the average in the state and the county. This is really important because where are our dollars going? We have all of this money, all of these people in Grass Lake with money to spend. Are we giving them something to come for? Where are they going? Why are they going there? This comes back to collecting data. Where are they going? Are they on the edge of that area between Grass Lake and I-94, where instead of coming down into Grass Lake, instead they think, I'm going to jump on the highway, I'm going to run over to Ann Arbor, I'm just going to run up to Chelsea for dinner. We need to give them reasons to come because it's not that far, it's closer, it's easier. So this is a choice that people are making to leave and spend their dollars elsewhere. And we're going to expand on this just a little bit. You have this number in your handout. It's really detailed in the handout. This was just a breakdown of where that median income came from. So it gave the income for the village of Grass Lake, the surrounding area, and then the township. And it's just where that number came from. Psychographic data. This is what actually manifests into the shopping and the activity, the community interaction. This is how we think and act. This is what you actually do. So from the surveys, we're looking at, most people are coming down daily or weekly. So they're coming down because, they're visiting between appointments and shops. They're coming down here on a reoccurring basis. So they've lots of opportunities to capture eyes. And the main draw is dining, events, shopping. So these are choices. These are choices that someone says, I'm going to go to Grass Lake because they've got a great coffee shop. I love to just sit there and hang out. Or it's evening time and I want to go get ice cream. I'm going to go down to Asher Creek instead of running into Chelsea. So these are choices. We're giving them options and opportunities to come down and enjoy the vibes that we're offering down here. There's even more demand based on some of the info in the surveys. Bakeries, sit-down dining, breweries, bookstores, home goods. One reason to linger. You go to Chelsea and Ann Arbor and you just want to have a girls' night out and you want to wander around, shop a little, spend some money. So these are the things that people want to see down here. They're asking for it. Events, food, drink festivals. This year we've seen an increase with Grass Lake Market and festivals. We've already got a lot of live music. We've got Oktoberfest coming up. People love it. And we were in shock and awe at seeing the number of people that were showing up to Grass Lake Market. People are waiting for something to satisfy that community interaction. We've got our neighbors right next to us. We don't always hang out, but when you give them an opportunity to come down and eat and hang out together, it's a different kind of activity. It feels good. And let's see, families. There's a lot of people with a lot of young kids around too. and they want things to do with their kids. I know we got a homeschool group, and they're always looking for things for young kids to do, and instead of leaving to go outside of the community, what can we do to get them back here? We have a lot of information in the handout, information from the survey. Here's some examples of why people are visiting and what they want. If you want to expand the business, here's some opportunities for you. As part of the survey, we also asked about downtown appearance. What do you think about how Grass Lake looks? When you drive through it, does it give you the warm and fuzzies? Does it need some improvement? What's its score? And we could do better. We could do better. There's more room for improvement there. And they were specific about their request. We gave them a whole long list of options. They were specific. Facade improvements. This is something that the DDA is actively working on. It's a very high priority. We've got money available for it. We're working with the businesses. Let's give you dollars. Make those improvements. You know, spit, shine, and front. Let's get a new window in, ADA compliance, all these things. We're ready. We've got a little bit of money to be able to help out with a facade improvement. Because people want to see it. It's beautiful. Flowers, we've had flowers in the past. We've got some new ideas on how to have some more curb appeal and increase some beautification downtown. Flowers are one way. Improving the signage. I know we're working on some parking signage, and we'll have a lot of wayfinding signage coming up. And with the historic district, we'll have new signage for that also. Sidewalks. We want their sidewalks fixed up, and Sabrina's been working hard on doing some things there. So we're doing some things. We're well on our way. There's you know, only one way up to go from here, and I think we're all doing it. So excited about that. It'll be better. So what are our insights? Because we've got a lot of data in there. If you want more, I'd be happy to provide it for you. But that gets kind of dry. I'm not going to sit up here and read numbers. But the key takeaways are Grass Lake is growing fast. We've seen it. We know it's coming. The signs are here. The residents have a lot of strong spending power. The numbers tell us the dollars are here. Let's keep the dollars here. People love community in Grass Lake. This is a very tight-knit community. We want to keep that going, giving opportunities for interactions. People value heritage. We love our historic pieces of Grass Lake. We'll have a historic district coming up. We love the beautification as well. And with the businesses that are coming in, we're going to have a lot of turnover in the up and coming years, and we look forward to that too. So I think we're headed in the right direction. Now we got to see where the data leads us. We're going to go back to Matthew to tell us where the data leads us.
So, these are current logos. As I spoke of earlier, our logos need to say something about Grass Lake. And I believe there's a little room for improvement myself. Grass Lake, so we were talking about what people want, and people want a sense of community, something where people can come together and be together, something that demonstrates that we as a community are open to having visitors, okay? And I'm unsure of what these say right now, okay? We need to question if these meet our needs. Because this is what people, this is what we want people to not only look to and go, oh, that's all about Grass Lake. But we want them to take that and embrace it. So do we want them to wear that kind of stuff? Do we want them to feel proud when they put it on their signage? And as you start to collaborate, are you going to be able to collaborate and feel good with what other people have for their logos, okay? So when you're thinking about logos, we should probably develop some consistency, okay? Let's just say that. Which brand fiends feel the most authentic to grass lakes? So did we want to do this as an activity?
Ken?
Okay. So what we have here is we have a bunch of these things on your desk. You have one of these, you have usually some more of these. So just to get together in your little groups, if you only have 2 people, somebody that's on a 4-person table, come to a 2-person table. And I want you to go ahead and we'll go through each of these. And I want you to collaborate and talk about which brand themes you think feel the most authentic to Grass Lake. So what we'll do is, I want you to think about all those things you know about Grass Lake right now. The logos, the forum, the messages you've seen out there. What are good representations of where we're going with our different, with that customer that we profiled earlier. We gave you a bunch of data. So collaborate amongst yourselves. So, well, think up new things, or what do you think we could change? What do you think would be something that, you know, would support reaching the people that we talked about already? Now what we showed you, and I gotta admit, what we showed you are the existing people here. We also have to sort of think in the back of our heads about the people that are gonna come here in the future too. And what's that look like? Remember, people like to shop with, live with, and hang out with people that are similar to them. That's why we got all that data up there. So, think about that. And then talk amongst yourself. And just write down some of these different things. Put them on, you can write them as big as you want to. And let's go ahead and start putting them on the wall.